I will be your anchor for this winter school training program. On behalf of Vital Biotech, Agriculture Forum for Technical Education of Farming Society Kota, Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya Raipur, University of Agricultural Sciences Raichur Karnataka, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Vishwavidyalaya Bilaspur Chhattisgarh, and Farmers Park Hyderabad Telangana. I cordially welcome you all to this 21 days winter school training on fostering environmental sustainability through food security, agricultural, and modern science innovations. Vital Biotech is India's leading publication, research, and training institute whose goal is to tackle the world's most pressing problems related to food and agriculture. Whereas the Agriculture Forum for Technical Education of Farming Society Kota serves as a spiracle between the network of rural community in India and other stakeholders such as government, development organization and corporate entities. Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya IGKV Raipur Chhattisgarh was established on January 20, 1987. IGKV has a primary mandate to provide education, conduct research, and offer extension services in the field of agriculture and related areas. Its work plays a vital role in improving agricultural practices and the lives of farmers in Chhattisgarh. University of Agricultural Sciences Raichur came into existence on 22nd November 2008 through bifurcation from USA Dharwad. It is the third agricultural university established in the state after Bengaluru and Dharwad in Karnataka. With the establishment of USA Dharwad in 1986, Raichur still had the privilege of being the second largest campus and a major hub of education in this region. Atal Bihari Vajpayee Vishwavidyalaya, established in 2012, has nearly 95 government and private colleges affiliated in 4 districts of Chhattisgarh state, which together constitute the jurisdiction of ABVV. The university plans to develop a strategy for enhancing the range of educational approaches and use of technology. As a part of this approach, the university plans to start classroom into state-of-the-art ones, enabling teachers to teach using a wide variety of media. Farmers Park is a platform committed to empowering organic and natural farmers across India by providing farm advisory services, free soil testing, and marketing. It aims to promote sustainable farming practices, helping farmers maximize their yield while protecting the environment. Through their services, they strive to create a strong, eco-conscious agricultural community nationwide. This evening, we are indeed fortunate to have such an esteemed dignitary among us. It is my privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Piyumi De Abesundra ma'am. Ma'am is the head of the Department of Food Science and Technology at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapuram, Sri Lanka. She obtained her bachelor's degree in Food Science and Technology from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Sri Lanka. MSc and PhD in Food Microbiology from the Mississippi State University of United States. She is an expert in safety assurance in the food industry and is actively involved in food safety training of small and medium-scale food manufacturers across Sri Lanka. Her research studies are focused on evaluating chemicals and microbiological safety hazards in foods in Sri Lanka. Respected ma'am, your achievements are a shining beacon illuminating the path for others and redefining excellence, and it is impossible to describe them in words in such a short time. So, without further ado, I warmly welcome you and gratefully hand over this winter school virtual stage to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shushmita. Thank you for your wonderful introduction about me. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my presentation first. Okay, I hope everyone can see my presentation now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. As Ms. Shushmita introduced me, I'm Dr. Piyumi Abesundara from University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Sri Lanka, and it's my pleasure to be here to take part as a resource person in this 21-day workshop. So as you can see in the presentation, today I'm going to discuss about good manufacturing practices for food industry. So I assume that everyone who are here today is from a certain type of agricultural background, and are willing to uh, continue their career in agriculture and in food industry. So therefore, my main objective of this presentation is to provide basic understanding about the principles of good manufacturing practices for the future entrepreneurs in food industry. So first of all, let's see, let me, all right. Let's see what are these good manufacturing practices. So good manufacturing practices are a set of principles that help manufacturers to ensure the quality and safety of food products. So at the very beginning, I heard that Ms. Sushmita mentioned about food security. So now you must be wondering, what is food security and what is safety? Is there any difference? Yes. So food security is about the availability of good quality food products for consumption for the people. Whereas food safety is the it's the states where safety is about the it doesn't matter how much food that we have, if those food are not safe, if consumer get ill after eating that food, it doesn't matter how much of that food that we have at the moment on our hand, right? So therefore, this food safety and food security are two things that go hand by hand, and wherever and whenever we talk about food security, it is also equally important to discuss about food safety. So these good manufacturing practices, it's as I mentioned in this in my presentation, it's a set of principles. It talks about it's set of guidelines that we can follow to ensure the safety of the food product that we are producing. Okay, so these principles were formulated by the World Health Organization in 1975. Afterward, these set of principles, these good manufacturing practices, have been the base for various food safety um, food safety systems. Okay, so for example, ISO 22000, for HACCP, for all these food safety frameworks, if you will. So we can identify these ISO 22000, HACCP like things as food safety frameworks, and for all these food safety principles, GMP principles act as baselines. So before we talk about food safety, I want to introduce you about food safety hazards, because without knowing how food can become unsafe, we cannot understand properly about food safety. So what are food safety hazards? So food safety hazards is anything that can make food unsafe, or if food safety hazard is can be anything that can compromise the safety of the food. And these food safety hazards can be divided into three main categories as shown in this slide. They are physical, chemical, and microbiological food safety hazards. So what are physical food safety hazards? So you can see in this picture. So some good example for physical food safety hazards is this piece of metal that can be found in food by accident, or dead bodies of flies. None of these things are added into food intentionally. So these are the things that can get mixed with food by accidents. Okay, and for chemicals hazards, some of the good examples are cleaners and sanitizers that we use to clean and sanitize food processing environment, mechanical lubricants. Nowadays lots of machines are being used during food manufacturing process, and lubricants are applied onto those machines, and some leakages that can happen from those machines can act as chemical hazards. Toxic metals, heavy metals like things that can get into food because of some pesticides that we use, some cleaner or sanitizer that we use. So those are also comes under chemical hazards. Veterinary drug residues, that is also another good example for chemical hazards. So this how can veterinary drug residues end up in our food? Uh, if you are a non-vegetarian, that means you eat chicken, beef, pork like meat. So those are animals. So those animals can get sick, and in order to cure those diseases, veterinary doctors provide them with various drugs, and those drugs, residues of those drugs, can end up in their body, and afterwards, after slaughtering, they can end up in our food. So those also can act as chemical hazards. Pesticide residues is also another good example for chemical hazards. So chemical hazards can occur at any point during harvesting, storage, and preparation of food due to toxic chemicals that are used for pest control, cleaning and sanitation, food contact surfaces, and food preparation equipment. So when it comes to biological hazard, they are none other than microorganisms. So biological hazards occur when food becomes contaminated by microorganisms that can be found in air, food, water, soil, or animal. When they meet right conditions, for example, right temperature, right pH, right moisture condition, they can multiply in number and can cause problems. And biological hazards, once again, can be divided into various categories such as virus, bacteria, fungi, protozoas. So now let's come into GMP. What are GMPs important for food industry? Why this GMP is important for food industry? So the main importance of good manufacturing practices in food industry is it helps to ensure the food safety. Okay, by what does this GMP does to ensure food safety? It helps food manufacturer to manufacture the food product in a cleaner and safe environment. And when a food is produced in a clean and safe environment, we can assume that the final food product is also clean and safe. Okay, so therefore, good manufacturing practices help to ensure food safety. And also it supports to uh, enhance the food quality. So this is another term, food quality. So first we talked about food security, then you understood what is food security, then we talked about food safety. Now you also have a good understanding about what is food safety. Now we are talking about food quality. So what is food quality? So quality is a state where food is safe, food is nutritious, food is attractive. So if food meets all those requirements, we say that it is high in quality. The food is high in quality. So therefore, these good manufacturing practices also help us to improve the quality of our product. And once again, they help to compliance with regulations. In any country, there are rules and regulations when it comes to food. And every country take their food safety regulations very seriously. And these good manufacturing practices help food manufacturers to comply their products with rules and regulations. It helps for traceability. It also helps in improving consumer confidence and reduce waste and costs. While the core principle of good manufacturing practices remain constant across food industry, specific practices and implementation can vary from one manufacturer to another. So it's like you cannot think that, okay, these good manufacturing practices mean one single set of practices. No, there are various sets of practices that we consider as good manufacturing practices. So, for example, good manufacturing practices for food manufacture, fruit juice manufacturing factory is one set of practices, while good manufacturing practices for a chicken farm is another set of good manufacturing practices. Okay. Now, before we further move into our talk, I would like to discuss this case study with you. So, after discussing this matter, you will understand why and how much these good manufacturing practices are important. So, this is actually a scenario that happened in our university a few years ago. So several people reported experiencing difficulty in breathing several hours after consuming string hoppers with sambal for breakfast from the same place. So you can see what string hoppers look like. And I think it is also called as Indiappam in India. And I'm sure everyone knows about that. And everyone knows how it is prepared, because it is very important to know how it is prepared. So if we further talk about this scenario, these individuals had no prior history of food allergies or asthma. That means they are very healthy individuals, and this incident raised concern about potential for food safety. So actually, I extracted this slide few minutes ago before I started this lecture from one of the presentation that I prepared for public health inspector. So that's why you can see as a public health inspector. Anyway, as a future entrepreneur in food industry, what is your opinion on this situation? And what do you think could have caused this reaction? And what potential solutions would you recommend to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future? So actually, during this scenario, what actually happened was this few people in my who are working in my department got suddenly ill after eating their breakfast, after a few hours eating their breakfast. And we rushed them to a university health center. They did some immediate testing and then found out that it's not corona or anything. It's a food allergy. And the main thing that I want you to understand during this case study is that how important good manufacturing practices is. So to understand that, we want to look at the way these foods are prepared. So if you look at Indiappam or string hoppers, it's a steam food product, and it involves lots of manual handling during preparation. Okay. So the person who is cooking has to use their hands to take the string hoppers from the mold. And when he or she is selling those string hoppers to the vendor, they have to use hands to count how many number of string hoppers are there. And then when in the restaurant, when a customer requests string hoppers, the waiter also have to use their hands to count how many number of string hoppers are there. So there are lots of manual handling happening during this process. Okay. So what happens is at the end, what this doctor thought is that there are a lot of hands involving, and you may be aware that on our skin, there is a microorganism called Staphylococcus aureus. And that microorganism is naturally present on our skin, especially inside our nose. Okay. So what happened is this microorganism is okay, but when this microorganism find suitable environmental condition, it can grow out and it can produce a toxin which is allergic to people. And if a person consume that toxin containing food, he or she can experience difficulty in breathing and headache like symptoms. Okay, so at the end, that what doctors thought was that this string hoppers that they ate is contaminated with Staphylococcus aureus, and that is why they got ill after several hours of eating their breakfast. So anyhow, this incident happened, and university had to spend significant amount of money to treat them. But this situation could have prevented by very simple actions. By if the people who have been handling this food product had obeyed to these good manufacturing practices, we could have prevented Staphylococcus aureus contaminations in these string hoppers, and we could have prevented all those incidences, right? So now you understand. Good manufacturing practices are a set of practices that we can use to prevent these kind of incidents from happening. Okay. Now let's look at good manufacturing practices for a restaurant. So when we are talking about a restaurant, there are good manufacturing practices that are specifically talking about the location that you have, how you can select a location for your business, how you have to design your building for your business, how you have to store your raw materials, how you have to prepare your food, what kind of equipment has to be selected, how personal hygiene should be maintained, how food has to be uh, served properly, and how cleaning and sanitation can be done. All these things are discussed in good manufacturing practices. So when it comes to location, since we have very limited time, I'm not going to go into each and every details. Rather, I would give you a overview about good manufacturing practices related to selecting a location, selecting building a premises for your business. Likewise, so when selecting a location, your facility should be located away from any contamination source. For example, you should not build your premises adjacent to a river or flowing water body, because with changes in weather, that water body can there can be during rainy season, it can create contamination risks, right? Okay, and also you should not build your premises adjacent to a living stock housing, or you should not build your premises on a salvage yard or a closer to a chemical treatment plant, because all these things can increase the risk of contaminations. And as a food manufacturer, you want to be away from any food contamination risks. And when it comes to building designing, both interior and exterior characteristics of the building is extremely important. And there are good manufacturing practices that talks about how to create a safe building for good manufacturing practices. The main principle that good manufacturing practices discuss about building designing is your building has to be durable and it has to be easy to clean. You should not um, build a facility which is difficult to clean, because if it is difficult to clean, it is not going to get clean often, and if it is not going to get clean often, there it is going to be dirty and it can increase the chances of contaminations. Okay, so you have to build your facility to in a way that prevent contamination. For example, let's say that lots of contamination sources outside. Then you have to build your building in such a way that reduces or prevent those contamination coming inside to your facility. All right, and you have to build your facility to prevent harborage of pest. For example, if we talk about the interiors, your flow should not be something like shown in the left side of this picture of this slide. It should be smooth like shown in the right side. The flow has to be smooth. Why? Because when it is smooth, it is easy to clean. And if it is rough as shown in left side, there can be a lot of microbial growth can happen in on the floor. And if there is a lot of microbial growth, that means it can cause contamination that can end up in your final product. And if you talk about the ceilings, once again, I'm not going to discuss about every aspect of your building, but instead I am talking only some aspects. So ceiling has to be smooth and easy to clean. Light fixtures has to be all the lights. The electricity bulb has to be always covered with some shield. If something happens and the light get broken, no physical hazard get into your food product. And then when it comes to raw material storage, you have to pay attention to these factors. You have to do it. You have to store your raw material in such a way it prevents cross contaminations. You have to make sure you store your food product under correct conditions. For example, you should not store your meat and processed meat product in room temperature. They always has to be kept under either refrigerated or frozen conditions. And you should not store your meat and fresh vegetables together, because meat has naturally contain a lot of microorganisms, and if you store them together, what can happen is that microorganism from your meat can get into your vegetables. And vegetable, if you are eating as a salad, you know that you are not going to heat them, so that means there is no way for those microorganisms to get killed, right? So that can really increase the risk of contaminations and food poisoning. So therefore, you have to make sure you store your product at right conditions, but segregated. And then proper product identification and traceability is also very important when it comes to food storage. That means you have to have a way. If food is not, if that food cannot be easily identified from outside, then you have to make sure that you label those food so that no other employee will get confused. Okay, and then you have to make sure that you keep record on the food products that you are purchasing and when you have purchased it. So in that way, you know that no old food stock is remain in the in your storage, while new products, newly purchased raw materials are being used. So you always have to use first come raw materials in first out basis. And when it comes to leftover foods, you have to make sure that you discard any leftover food. If you have kept them in room temperature for more than 2 hours, you should discard them. Because if you had left them at room temperature for more than 2 hours, that means there is high chance that it has high microbial growth there, and that food will not be safe for consumption after storing in the refrigerator for several days. And if you choose to store some leftover food for future use, you have to make sure that you store them in shallow covered containers and stored under either refrigerated or frozen condition. And you also have to make sure that you use those leftover foods within 4 days, not more than 4 days. Okay. And when it comes to food preparation, you have to make sure your food preparation process should flow in one direction. The main reason for to use a food process that flow in one direction is to prevent contamination. For example, let's think about a fruit juice manufacturing process. You first purchase fruits, and then you clean them, and then you cut them, then you juice them, then you pasteurize the juice, and then you bottle them. What happens if you place the pasteurizer and what happens if you place the pasteurizer in the food washing room? Because in washing room you have dirty fruits which are not yet clean, they are dirty, and on the other side of the room, in the same room, you have pasteurized fruit juices. If you keep both these activities in the same room, you increase the chance of contamination. So therefore, you always have to make sure your process flow in one direction. In that way, you can minimize chances of contamination. And on the in addition, you have to make sure you follow good food handling practices, and you follow good personal hygiene practices. When it comes to equipments, you have to use equipment. You cannot just use any equipment for food industry, because some metals can leach toxic compounds to food. For example, if you put acidic food into aluminium vessels, that can leach out some toxic chemicals into food. So therefore, you have to make sure that you use instruments that are built correctly just for food industry, for food processing, and they also have to be easy to clean and should be cleanable. If a surface of your equipment get damaged after few use of that equipment, then those damaged places can act as places for microbial growth and can increase microbial contamination risks. So therefore, you have to make sure you use properly built equipment and utensils for your food manufacturing processes. And when it comes to personal hygiene, cleanliness is main thing. The people who are involved in food processing have to be well clean, well groomed. They have to wear proper personal protective equipment such as hats, overalls, shoes, and also they have to have proper behavior. Behavior in the sense, normally it is recommended not to eat or drink anything while cooking or while involved in any kind of food preparation. And they should not chew beetles, they should not eat or drink any kind of food, and even they should not use mobile phones, because these mobile phones can carry a lot of microbial contaminants. And if you keep on using those mobile phones while you involved in some sort of food handling process, those your mobile phone can act as a source of contaminant for that food products. And when it comes to food serving, food must be stored under correct temperature. Normally, if your food is served hot, it has to be served. It has to be stored at a temperature which is above 65 Celsius. If the food is meant to be stored, meant to be served cold, the food has to be stored below 4 Celsius. And food has to be always kept covered. You do not want to use very complex structures to store these food products, but you have to have a very simple ways to cover your food. So in that way, while they are being served to the consumer, they stay safe from environmental contaminants. About cleaning and sanitization in a food in a food manufacturing premises, having a thoroughly explained cleaning and sanitation plan is very important. If you have a very clear cleaning and sanitation plan that talks about how equipment is clean and sanitized, who is responsible, then it makes it clear to everyone, and it makes it assures that cleaning and sanitation in the food manufacturing premises is done clearly and accurately. It ensures that all surfaces are clean on regular basis. So a cleaning and sanitation plan has two components. One, a list of cleaning and sanitizing agents or supplies with instructions on their safe use and storage. Two is a cleaning schedule outlining how each item needs to be cleaned, who is responsible, and how frequently it happens. So if you further look at cleaning and sanitation, this shows what are the main steps involved in a proper cleaning and sanitation. First is remove waste materials from the surface. Then you have to scrape all loose debris and food particles. Then the detergent has to be applied and cleaned. But only with detergent, you cannot complete your cleaning and sanitation process. After cleaning, because the cleaning step is done to reduce the level of organic and inorganic soils from the surface. After cleaning, microorganisms can still be present there. So you have to reduce or remove those microbial cells as well. So for that, you have to have a sanitizer. So always after applying your cleaner, you have to make sure that you rinse the surface properly and then apply your sanitizer. And according to the sanitizers manufacturer's guideline, you can either choose to rinse it away or choose to leave it contact on the surface overnight. And the other important thing is staff training. Staff training is also one of the important aspects that is emphasized during good manufacturing practices. So good manufacturing practices training in food industry is crucial to ensure that employees understand and follow the established protocols and standards for safe food handling, production, and hygiene. And the other important aspect that good manufacturing practices emphasize is record keeping. So under that, you have to keep records on the batches of raw materials that you have used, batches of final food products that you have manufactured. You have to keep records on cleaning and sanitation processes. You have to keep records on suppliers and ingredients, process control, about the trainings that has happened in your premises, about quality control records, traceability records, audit records, etc. So, and when it comes to food transportation, good manufacturing practices also discuss about food transportation. So there, what good manufacturing practices do is it protects food from potential contaminants. One of the good manufacturing practices that talks about transportation is it is extremely important to control temperature if you are transporting a temperature sensitive food product. For example, if you are transporting pre-cooked sausages like food product, you cannot transport them in normal lorries or trucks. You have to transport them in air, refrigerated vehicles, so that the the microorganisms do not get a chance to grow on those food products. And it also emphasizes about the cleanliness of the vehicle. It emphasizes about how and when to unload and load these food materials. So in summary, good manufacturing practices are the backbone of quality and safety in food manufacturing. By implementing and adhering to good manufacturing practices, food manufacturers can guarantee consistent quality, reduce risk of contaminations, and maintain compliance with stringent regulatory requirements. Thank you so much. Now, I would
Thank you for taking your time to share your valuable insights on crucial topic of good manufacturing practices for future entrepreneurs in the food industry. Your expertise has shed light on a critical role of quality and safety in shaping the future of food industry. Thank you so much for your knowledge. I now invite our participants to ask any questions they may have which ma'am can address. Feel free to post your queries in the chat box. There is one question from Siddesh Sial. Ma'am, can you please share some good manufacturing practices for oil industry?
Yes, they are. Actually, can you all hear me, Kumari? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So actually, that's a really good question. So I will take coconut oil as an example and tell you few good manufacturing practices. Once again, I want to emphasize that this is good manufacturing practices is not just a list of 10 or 15 or 20 practices. In fact, it can be different. It can be different from one manufacturing process to another manufacturing process. So if we talk about coconut oil manufacturing, one of the biggest good manufacturing practice is maintaining reducing the moisture content of copra before it is being sent for storage. In coconut oil, first what manufacturers do is during the coconut season, they harvest coconut, they dry it, and then they send for storage. And it can stay there in copra can stay there in storage for maybe for 1 week or few weeks or even for several months. So if you do not reduce the moisture content less than 10, at least less than 9%, what can happen is microorganisms can grow on those copra during storage, and those funguses can add aflatoxin to copra, and then that aflatoxin can end up in our final coconut oil, which is a carcinogenic. So one of the good manufacturing practices, very important good manufacturing practices in coconut oil manufacturing is reducing coconut moisture content in copra before they send to storage.
Thank you, ma'am. There is one question from Mr. Ajit. Ma'am, what will be the sequence of keeping or storing veg and non-veg cooked and raw items in domestic refrigerator?
Yes. So actually, it is not at all accepted to put everything in same refrigerator. But like we don't have several refrigerators at our houses. But one good thing is we know what we are storing there and when we have stored there, and only few people are using it, right? So therefore, we at domestic level, we still have some control over the things happening inside and around the refrigerator. So that is safe, but that doesn't mean that it is accepted to store raw fish and vegetables in the same refrigerator. But one thing you can do is you can put them in closed containers and then put them in the refrigerator. In that way, you can minimize the chance of cross contaminations.
Thank you, ma'am. One question is from Shubham Kumar. Ma'am, please define good manufacturing process of rose syrup.
Well, rose syrup, I'm sorry that I cannot think of, I can tell you about good manufacturing practices if I know about the entire manufacturing process of rose syrup. At the moment, I am not that much aware of rose syrup, so therefore, I'm sorry, I cannot tell you. But I'm sure that you will, like, if anyone can tell me how rose syrup is made, I'm 100% sure that I'll be able to tell you something.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. S.K. Kaushik is asking, what about the good manufacturing process for pulses and its byproducts?
Yes, once again for pulses also, reducing moisture content before they sent into storage is one good manufacturing practices. And if you are talking about dal or something like that, using pesticides at in proper way. Pesticide is something which cannot be applied at anywhere at any point. So they have to have proper way to use those pesticides. Because when they are stored in the storage, normally they get pest attacks, right? So at that point, you must use pesticide. But using those pesticides in proper way is another good manufacturing practice. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. H.R. Dhanetia is asking, you stated in your presentation that citrus products should not be kept in aluminum utensils. Explain in detail, ma'am. Can we put citrus products in copper utensils?
Well, even copper utensils, this copper is made, it's a mixture of metals, right? So it is not recommended to put, acidic food in those kind of, aluminum or copper utensils. The safest metal that you can use for those products is stainless steel.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's all from participant side. Thank you, ma'am, for your engaging and insightful presentation, as well as for addressing all the participant queries. I'm confident that participants have greatly benefited from your extensive expertise. We sincerely appreciate your willingness to share your profound knowledge with us. Wishing you continued success in your path. Thank you once again, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shushmita.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Jitendra. Thank you so much for having me.
Our second distinguished speaker is Dr. Neha Pandey. Today it is my special honor to introduce her. Ma'am is currently an assistant professor cum junior scientist at the Department of Extension Education, Bihar Agricultural University, Sabhor. She has also cleared the State Public Service Commission and served the Department of Agriculture, Government of Bihar as Assistant Director of Agriculture with top rank. She has written many research papers, review articles, and book chapters in reputed journals. She has received many best paper presentation, young scientist, and excellence in teaching awards in national seminar and international seminars. She has also received an appreciation certificate from Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Bihar, and an appreciation award from Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Government of Bihar. She is also working on several seed money projects of a state agriculture university and as co-PI in Government of Bihar's project of Center of Excellence of Millet Value Chain in Bihar. Ma'am, your impact is vast, a symphony of success that echoes through hearts of many, and it is impossible to cover them all in such a brief time. With great respect, I warmly welcome you and gratefully hand over this winter school virtual stage to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shushmita ma'am. So shall I continue? Shall I start my presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Am I clearly audible?
Audible.
Okay. So this was the topic which was given to me by Dr. Jitendra Mehta sir on food security, opportunity and challenges. To begin with, first, let us see what is food security. So all people at all times having physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life. This was the definition given by the World Food Summit in 1996. So, there are four basic pillars, or what we can say the dimensions of food security, that is the food availability, food access, food utilization, and fourth one is food stability. So from the word itself, we can know that food availability means the production side, the supply side of food, and is determined by the level of food production, stock levels, and the net trade. The next pillar is food access, means like फूड तो है ठीक है मैम सुष्मिता मैम मे आई नो द पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर comfortable in Hindi or in English?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can be bilingual, ma'am.
Okay. So food तो है but due to poverty, hunger उन्हें access नहीं है. So this is the another pillar for food security at the national or international level, which just mere having the availability of food does not guarantees the household level food security. So there are concerns about insufficient food access, which have resulted in a greater policy focus on incomes, expenditures, markets, and prices in achieving food security objectives. The third main pillar is food utilization. This can be correlated with the understanding as our body makes most of the various nutrients in the food. Suppose आपने देखा होगा हम कोई बहुत दुबले पतले लोग हैं, वो खा तो रहे हैं लेकिन उनके चेहरे में या फिर बॉडी में दिख नहीं रहा है. तो इसका मतलब क्या है कि उनका वो न्यूट्रिएंट एब्जॉर्प्शन सही नहीं है. So same is the case with food security. So sufficient energy and nutrient intake by individuals is the result of good care and feeding practices, food preparation, diversity of the diet, and intra-household distribution of food. The combined with biological utilization of food consumed, which will determine the nutritional status of the individual. And the fourth important pillar is the stability. What does this mean? Stability means consistency. जैसे आज तो है खाने के लिए ठीक है, बट क्या हमारे पास इतना इनकम है जो कि इसको सस्टेन कर सके? Okay, so even if your food intake is adequate, you are still considered to be food insecure if you have inadequate access to food on periodic basis. Okay, like it could be risking a deterioration of your nutritional status. So adverse weather conditions, political instability, or certain economic factors like unemployment, rising food prices. You have seen the food inflation and all. So this may have an impact on your food security status. So we can say that adequate, just the food production alone is not sufficient.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, if you would be bilingual, that would be a great help. Like,
Okay.
can you like use Hindi and English both?
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. So सिर्फ ये कहना सही नहीं होगा कि फूड है अवेलेबल तो हमारा कंट्री फूड सिक्योर है, ये कहना सही नहीं होगा. So you should satisfy all these four pillars, that is the food availability, food accessibility, food utilization, and food स्टेबिलिटी। सो शैल आई प्रोसीड, क्या मैं आगे बढ़ूं? ये कंसेप्ट क्लियर है फूड सिक्योरिटी का? एनीवन जस्ट ये ऑनलाइन?
Like, no, ma'am. Like, no, like you can continue
ओके
now.
ओके, आई विल कंटिन्यू। ओके ओके, सो here we have a Panther framework given by FAO, that is the Food and Agricultural Organization. So this framework is a set of human rights or human right principles used by FAO to develop strategies for food and nutritional security. Panther is ये acronym है, which means P for participation, A for accountability, N for non-discrimination, T for transparency, H for human dignity, E for empowerment, and R stands for rule of law. जैसा कि हमने अपने प्रीवियस स्लाइड्स में देखा, जो 4 मेन जो की पिलर्स थे, फूड अवेलेबिलिटी, ठीक है, दिस गोज इन हैंड विद द राइट फॉर पार्टिसिपेशन। ओके, राइट ऑफ फूड सिक्योरिटी, पहला जो पैंथर का पी है, राइट फॉर पार्टिसिपेशन। दिस विल एंश्योर दैट ऑल द स्टेक होल्डर्स, जितने भी स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, वो सब इस फूड सिक्योरिटी के प्रोसेस में पार्टिसिपेट करें, बी इट फार्मर्स, किसान हो या पॉलिसी मेकर्स हो, और जो भी मार्केट में जो लोग इन्वॉल्व है, हर कोई इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करे इक्वली। So, our next human right is accountability, which goes hand in hand with accessibility. Accessibility means what? That food is within reach of every person. There is no barrier. ठीक है, कोई भी रुकावट नहीं है। अब accountability कैसे ये सिद्ध करेगा? Holding people responsible for the outcomes of their action will be responsible for the accessibility of the food. Then comes the food affordability, which goes hand in hand with the right of human rights, that is non-discrimination, like avoiding any type of discrimination based on race, sex, religious or other status. Like कई बार होता है ना कि हमारे लिए अफोर्डेबल नहीं है, जैसे कोविड का टाइम अगर हम ले ले तो विटामिन सी, तो जरूरी नहीं कि हम कीवी ही खाएंगे तो हमें विटामिन सी मिलेगा। अरे भाई, जो सस्ती चीजें हैं जैसे आंवला हो गया, नींबू हो गया, उससे भी हम अपने विटामिन सी के रिक्वायरमेंट्स को पूरा कर सकते हैं। तो इस तरह की चीजें हर सेक्टर्स जो है हमारे सोसाइटी के, उनको अवेलेबल होना चाहिए विदाउट एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन। The next key pillar is utilization. It is the proper biological use of food, requiring a diet providing sufficient energy and essential nutrients. And here comes in picture the human rights of transparency, which means making decision process accessible to all, transparent. जो जैसे पहले हम बात करते थे बॉटम टॉप डाउन की, तो बॉटम अप अब सब जगह हो रहा है, ठीक है, सारी चीजें डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड, मोर एंड मोर डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन हो रही, ताकि हम ट्रांसपेरेंसी मेंटेन कर सकें। देन कम्स द राइट ऑफ ह्यूमन डिग्निटी, respecting the inherent value of people, and the next is the empowerment, which means helping people, especially the most vulnerable ones. most vulnerable में children हो गए, women हो गई, ठीक है। आगे हम देखेंगे बहुत सारा डेटा जिसमें कि स्पेशली बहुत सारे स्टेट्स एंड मेजर बिहार, फिर नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स में बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टैटिस्टिक्स है जो दर्शाते हैं कि जो विमेन है वो बहुत ज्यादा एनेमिक है, जो हमारा नेशनल एवरेज है उससे बहुत ज्यादा एनेमिक है। देन कम्स द रूल ऑफ लॉ, which ensures that public institutions have legal authority to act. So again, here are the framework for pillars of food security. जैसे कि हमने देखा था, ये 4 बेसिक पिलर्स है: फूड अवेलेबिलिटी, फूड एक्सेस, देन द फूड स्टेबिलिटी एंड द फूड यूटिलाइजेशन। इसको और मतलब सुदृढ़ बनाते हैं बाकी और डायमेंशंस, जैसे कि केयर प्रैक्टिसेस, child care practices, feeding practices, nutritional knowledge, food preparation, eating habits, intra-household food distribution, ये सारे चीजें हमारे न्यूट्रिशनल स्टेटस को दर्शाते हैं। दिस इज द फ्रेमवर्क फॉर पिलर्स ऑफ फूड सिक्योरिटी। नाउ अब हम ये देखेंगे कि कैसे विश्व भर में फूड सिक्योरिटी को मेजर कौन सा इंडेक्स करता है। जैसे हर चीज को मेजर करने के लिए कोई स्केल होता है, कोई इंडेक्स होता है, उसी तरह फूड सिक्योरिटी को मेजर करने के लिए भी इंडेक्स होता है, दैट इज ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स। हालांकि इसे हमारे जो साइंटिफिक ये है उसको थोड़ा सा इसको नहीं मानते हैं, बिकॉज उनको ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ त्रुटियां पाई गई हैं, लेकिन स्टिल इसे ही हम एक स्टैंडर्ड मानते हैं फूड सिक्योरिटी को मेजर करने के लिए। जिसमें कि ये पाया गया है कि 2024 ये हर साल अक्टूबर में ये रिलीज होता है ये इंडेक्स। तो जो ट्रेंड देखा गया है 2023 से 2024 में ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स में इंडिया का पोजीशन अच्छा हुआ है। दैट इज विल सी इन आवर नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। ओके, आगे है, दैट इज 105 आउट ऑफ 127 कंट्रीज, दैट इज कंसिडर्ड better than the previous years, the trend if we see. So global hunger index has put India's it is a tool for comprehensively measuring and tracking hunger at global, regional and national levels. The scores are based on the values of four components. इस पिक्चर में हम देख सकते हैं कि फोर components हैं, that is the undernourishment which is based on caloric intake, the child stunting जो या तो छोटे हो जाते हैं हाइट में या वेट उनका कम है, then the wasting is based on the weight and the child mortality. 5 साल के जो उम्र है उसके पहले तक के बच्चों को इसमें काउंट किया जाता है। So based on these value of the four indicators, global hunger index score is calculated on a 100-point scale, जिसमें कि 0 जो है वो अगर आता है तो नो हंगर एंड 100 इज द वर्स्ट। बट दीज टू एक्सट्रीमिटीज आर आइडियल कंडीशन। ऐसा कोई भी देश नहीं है जो कि 0 और 100 में लाइक करता हो। सो जो इंडिया के नेबरिंग कंट्रीज है, जैसे पाकिस्तान का हम रैंक देख सकते हैं, हमसे अच्छा है 102, बांग्लादेश का 81, नेपाल का 69, श्रीलंका का 60 और हमारा कितना है 105। सो why is it this? Why India is lagging behind in the global hunger index? We will see. So ये मैं कुछ स्टैटिस्टिक्स बता रही थी कि जो लेटेस्ट राउंड ऑफ नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे का रिपोर्ट है उसमें ये बताया गया है कि मेघालय and Bihar has topped the chart of chronic malnutrition or stunting, with more than 40% of children are stunted. And more than half the surveyed states reported every third child under 5 are suffering from chronic malnourishment. मैं बिहार की इसलिए बात कर रही हूँ क्योंकि मैं बिहार में रह रही हूँ, इसलिए मेरे सारे स्टैटिस्टिक्स में बार बार बिहार का जिक्र किया गया है। एवरी फोर्थ चाइल्ड इन बिहार इज थिन, ठीक है, फॉर देयर एज, which shows that there is acute malnutrition, which was noted among children under 5 significantly in Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Assam, Telangana, and Bihar. Then again, we can see that Bihar has been reported highest prevalence of underweight children, that is 41%, where every third child was found relatively thin for their age. About 69% of children aged between 6 and 59 months and nearly 64% women in Bihar were found to be anemic compared to men. So we'll see the factors which are responsible for this trailing rank of India in global hunger index. First, we will see the social factors. Among the social factors, first is the prevalence of poverty. Do you know that 23.6% of India's population, that is 276 million people, are below poverty line, and जो उनका परचेजिंग पावर होता है, इकोनॉमिक्स में एक टर्म होता है कि वो कितना खर्च कर सकते हैं अपने दिनचर्या वाले चीजों में, खाने पीने की चीजों में, दैट इज लेस देन 1.25 rupees per day. Then gender inequality. Yes. So it means that women eat last as well as the least. This अगर आप कोई रूरल बैकग्राउंड से होंगे तो दे नो दैट जैसे घरों में महिलाएं जो है वो पहले जेंट्स खा लेते हैं, उसके बाद खाती है, उसमें जो बचा खुचा रहता है वही खाती है. So the lack of nutrition has an intergenerational effect on women, especially those from the marginalized communities. Studies have shown that 56% Dalit and 59% tribal women, Dalit कहने का मतलब SCs and STs, are anemic, while the national average is 53%. Then the administrative factors being that 2011 में सेंसस हुआ था, ठीक है, और जो भी हमारी फूड सिक्योरिटी की जो भी पॉलिसीज है, जो भी हम स्ट्रैटेजीज गवर्नमेंट कर रही है, जो भी आम जनता को जो मुहैया कराया जा रहा है, दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन द 2011 फिगर्स, ठीक है, जो भी रिपोर्ट है. अरे भाई 2013 में नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट आया, तो उसके बाद चीजें थोड़ी बदल गई. जो भी अपडेटेड जो इंफॉर्मेशन है उसको अकाउंट में लेना चाहिए, बट एवरी जो भी योजना ये बट रहे वो 2011 के सेंसस में जो फिगर्स है उसके अकॉर्डिंग बच रहे हैं. तो दीज आर सम errors due to administrative factors. Then problem of interoperability, like one nation one ration card, ये एक we can say एक reform आया था, we will see later in the slides of वाधवा कमिटी. वाधवा कमिटी ने एक रिफॉर्म दिया था पीडीएस रिफॉर्म में, तो उसमें वन नेशन वन रेशन कार्ड आया था, जिसको उतने स्केल में मतलब लागू नहीं किया गया पूरे देश में. अगर वो होता तो इस तरह की जो कठिनाई है वो नहीं आती. Then the open-ended procurement, then the rampant corruption. It is estimated that 30 to 70% of subsidized food grains distributed through 500,000 fair price shops are routinely diverted to the black market. Then the economic factors being due to declining real wages and farm income. ये हम सब जान रहे हैं कि जो वेजेस देते हैं हम, जो लेबर को स्किल्ड हो या अनस्किल्ड हो, that is less, and due to that they are forced to sell those items which they are getting as a in subsidized rate. जो गेहूं और चावल वो लेते हैं, उसको बेच करके वो जो अन्य एसेंशियल कमोडिटीज है लाइक ऑयल एंड स्पाइसेस वो खरीदते हैं. Then there is a rise in unemployment. We have found that the periodic labor force survey report में ये देखा गया है कि अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है वो 6.1% अभी भी है, विच इज हाईएस्ट. 1972-73 से अभी तक ये हाईएस्ट रेट रहा है. Then again there is unavailability of work under MG Narega. Funds allocated to MG Narega have been even lower than the last year. Then again, we can't leave this issue, that is the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, the integrated child ICDS जो scheme थी were either non-functional or severely disrupted. मिड डे मील थी वो भी कुछ अफेक्ट हुई. आंगनवाड़ी जो चल रही है वो भी उतनी फंक्शनल नहीं रही. जो मील्स है, ये मेरा पर्सनल भी एक्सपीरियंस है, हम गए हैं इस तरह के इंस्पेक्शन में, तो वो उतनी फंक्शनल नहीं रही उसके बाद से. सो 2021 में State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World report mentioned that the Sustainable Development Goal of achieving zero hunger has been negatively affected in the wake of the novel coronavirus disease pandemic. So, food security को जानने से पहले हम ये concept थोड़ा सा देखेंगे, that is the PDS system. How did it evolve? ठीक है, PDS system and food security in India. तो जैसा कि हम ने देखा है, जो हमारा ब्रिटिश का जो शासनकाल था, उस समय प्रोडक्टिविटी पर न ध्यान देते हुए जो नील की खेती के पर जोर दिया जाता था, इस तरह के कैश क्रॉप्स पर, ताकि ज्यादा से ज्यादा रेवेन्यू उनको मिल सके. ठीक है, तो उस दौरान पूरे विश्व को और इवन भारत को बहुत सारे फैमिन्स को देखना पड़ा, जैसे कि 1873-74 में, 1899 में, 1940 में, 1943 में, ठीक है, जिसके कारण इंडिया जो है थोड़ा सा इनसिक्योर पोजीशन पे आ गया। नाउ इन 60s ये जो इंडिया है, इंडिया वाज फोर्स्ड टू इंपोर्ट व्हीट फ्रॉम यूएस अंडर द PL 480 स्कीम। ये फेमीन्स के कारण PL 480 स्कीम के तहत व्हीट को इंपोर्ट किया गया। तब आया दौर ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन का। ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन सही है, बट व्हाट इज द ड्रॉबैक ऑफ ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन? ड्रॉबैक ऑफ ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन वाज कि सिर्फ राइस और व्हीट पर ध्यान देते हुए जो सॉइल का कंडीशन है वो डिग्रेड हुआ, प्लस जो आपका मोनोक्रॉपिंग के चलते जो पूरा मास है वो राइस और व्हीट पर ही केंद्रित रहा, ठीक है, और एक्सेसिव यूज ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर, एक्सेसिव यूज ऑफ दीज केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर्स के कारण जो डिग्रेडेशन हुआ वो हम अभी भी झेल रहे हैं। देन 1960 में PDS का कंसेप्ट आया, दैट इज द पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम। वो क्या है, कैसे काम करता है, हम आगे देखेंगे। उसके बाद आया दौर FCI। FCI से अगर कोई लोग जानते हैं कि क्या काम है उसका, जो डिपार्टमेंट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का ये एंटिटी है, एंड मेजर जो चैलेंजेस फेस किया इसने, उसने ये किया कि जो शॉर्टेज ऑफ फूड और स्पेशली व्हीट का उसने ये फेस किया, FCIs. Then came the era of RPDS. RPDS क्या है? Revamped Public Distribution System, which came in 1992. And then the Targeted Public Distribution System. ये क्यों करने की आवश्यकता पड़ी? ये करने की आवश्यकता इसलिए पड़ी क्योंकि PDS जो है वो अपने अकॉर्डिंग चल रहा था, जिसको भी पा रहे थे वो सब्सिडाइज्ड रेट में फूड ग्रेन्स दे रहे थे। तो इससे कि बहुत उलट पलट हो रही थी, जिसको मिलना चाहिए उसको नहीं मिल रहा है, जिसको नहीं मिलना चाहिए उसको मिल रहा है। तो इस वजह से जो सोसाइटी है उसको कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड किया और टारगेट किया गया। टारगेट दो कैटेगरी में किया गया, बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन एंड अबव पॉवर्टी लाइन। उसको हम TPDS कहते हैं, एंड इट वाज इम्प्लीमेंटेड थ्रू गवर्नमेंट इन 1997। सिमिलरली अंत्योदय अन्न योजना आया 2000 में, एंड जिसमें कि जो बहुत ही पुअर थे, पुअरेस्ट ऑफ द पुअर जिनको कहते हैं, दैट इज द 5% ऑफ टोटल पॉपुलेशन इन द कंट्री विच स्लीप्स विदाउट 2 स्क्वायर मील्स। 2 वक्त की रोटी के बगैर जो लोग सो जाते हैं उन्हें इस स्लैब में लाया गया अंत्योदय अन्न योजना के तहत। और फिर आया नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी। नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट, उसके पहले नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी मिशन को लॉन्च किया गया 2007 से 2008 में, जिसके तहत जो राइस व्हीट है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम राइस व्हीट जो कोर्स सीरियल्स है 2014-15 में उसे भी इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया थ्रू क्लस्टर डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन। एंड इस तरह से जो पुअर हाउसहोल्ड्स है उनको फूड ग्रेन्स का एक लीगल एंटाइटलमेंट दिया गया, and this make the shift from right to food as a justiciable right, ठीक है, एक आपका अधिकार हो गया फूड। तो इस तरह से फूड सिक्योरिटी का इवोल्यूशन हुआ और इस तरह से PDS सिस्टम हमारे बीच आया। तो ये नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट क्या है? It came in July 2013 with an intended coverage of up to 75% of rural population and up to 50% of urban population for receiving highly subsidized food grains under targeted public distribution system. One of the guiding principles of this act is its life cycle approach, जिसमें कि वो जो pregnant women है, lactating mothers and children है in the age group of 6 months to 14 years, उन्हें supplementary nutrition दिया जाएगा। इसके तहत ये सारी गाइडलाइन प्रिंसिपल्स है। आई विल जस्ट रीड दिस, दैट एवरी प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन एंड लैक्टेटिंग मदर इज एंटाइटल्ड टू मील free of charge during pregnancy and 6 months after the childbirth through the local Anganwadi. Every child in the age group of 6 months to 6 years is entitled to age appropriate meal. Age wise appropriate, calorie wise, nutrient wise वो age wise distributed है, चार्ट है मील का। free of charge through the local Anganwadi. In the case of children up to class 8 or within the age group of 6 to 14 years, whichever is applicable, 1 day meal free of charge is provided every day except on school holidays in all schools run by local bodies, government and government aided schools. State government through the local Anganwadi also identify and provide meals free of charge to children who suffer from malnutrition. So these were some of the government programs for food security which was launched. That is the, I have mentioned it earlier, National Food Security Mission launched in 2007-2008 to increase the production of rice, wheat and pulses. अर्लियर फिर 2014-15 में कोर सीरियल्स को भी इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया. तो क्रॉप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन के तहत बहुत सारे ऐसे चीजें हैं, पल्सेस है, ऑयल सीड्स है, वो भी इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया है. एरिया एक्सपेंशन, प्रोडक्टिविटी एनहांसमेंट, रिस्टोरिंग सॉइल फर्टिलिटी एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी, क्रिएटिंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज, एनहांसिंग फार्म लेवल इकोनॉमी. The next scheme being Integrated Child Development Scheme. Target groups include children in the age group of 0 to 6 years, pregnant women and lactating mothers. Services such as health, nutrition and early learning provides at village level through Anganwadi centers across country. फिर मिड डे मील, ये सभी लोग जानते हैं, मिड डे मील स्कीम. फिर अंत्योदय अन्ना योजना, provide highly subsidized food to millions of the poorest families, launched on December 25th, 2000. After identification, the poorest of the poor, opportunity to purchase up to 35 kg of rice and wheat at a highly subsidized rate of 3 rupees per kg of rice and 2 per kg of wheat. So, PDS क्या है? PDS is a government-sponsored chain of shops entrusted with the work of distributing basic food and non-food commodities to the needy sections of the society at very cheap price. ये मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कंज्यूमर अफेयर्स फूड एंड पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के तहत ये गवर्न होती है एंड इट इज ऑपरेटेड अंडर जॉइंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ सेंट्रल एंड द स्टेट. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट वाया एफसीआई. एफसीआई ये मैं इस मोडस ऑपरेंडी में इधर दिखाऊंगी. एफसीआई प्रोक्योर करती है फ्रॉम फार्मर्स at MSP and then it gives to the state at central issue price and from state to the fair price shops. State governments through operational responsibilities, state allocation, identification of eligible families, issue of ration card, ये सब state government की responsibilities है. हम इसको देखते हैं इस तरह modus operandi. फार्मर्स से MSP पे सेंटर ने खरीदा, ठीक है. उसके बाद सेंटर से सेंट्रल इशू प्राइस पे एक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में ने खरीदा. उसके बाद और लोअर्ड सेंट्रल इशू प्राइस से स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से ये जो फूड ग्रेन्स है वो फेयर प्राइस शॉप्स में गई और फिर फेयर प्राइस शॉप से इंडिविजुअल बेनिफिशरीज को गई. अब इससे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कुछ सब्सिडी भी दे सकती है, सब्सिडी के तौर पे बेनिफिशरीज को, फिर ये यहाँ से ऐसे ऑपरेट होती है. So this is how the public distribution system works. FCI buys the grain at MSP and then from here to state, and the state again distribute the grain to the fair price shops. Fair price shops से beneficiaries को. So PDS का importance तो बहुत है. Like it ensures food and nutritional security, stabilizing food prices, maintains the buffer stock, redistribution of grains, enhanced food production, stabilizing farmers' income. But still, there are certain issues associated with PDS. That is the identification of beneficiaries. अब ये बहुत बड़ा एक issue है PDS system में अपने, कि जो एक डेटा है 2009 की जिसमें कि PDS has suffered from nearly 61% error of exclusion. What does it mean? जो लोग ये पाने के लायक है उसमें से 61% एक्सक्लूड कर दिए गए हैं और जो लोग ये पाने के लायक नहीं है उनको 25% इंक्लूड कर दिया गया है. तो ये कितना बड़ा मिस कैलकुलेशन है, कितना बड़ा मिस क्लासिफिकेशन है. तो इस तरह की त्रुटियां पाई गई हैं PDS सिस्टम ऑफ इंडिया में. फिर बहुत सारे लीकेजेस हुए हैं, लीकेजेस ऑफ फूड ग्रेन, like in an evaluation of targeted public distribution system, the erstwhile planning commission has found that there was 36% leakage of pds of rice and wheat at all India levels. Then there are governance issues, then there is poor access to public services, inefficiencies, rampant corruption, issues with storage, poor quality grains, and environmental issues which discourages the crop diversification. सो इतने सारे इश्यूज को ध्यान में रखते हुए रिफॉर्म्स लाए गए, उसको बोला गया पीडीएस रिफॉर्म्स। इसमें क्या चेंज किया गया? आधार को इंक्लूड किया गया। लाइक बहुत सारे अभी भी बहुत सारे जो सब्सिडीज है और ये दिए जाते हैं ना डिजिटल, ताकि मतलब इस तरह की करप्शन ना हो। या तो डीबीटी है अपने देश में, डीबीटी बहुत सारे स्कीम्स डीबीटी के तहत दिए जाते हैं, तो इस तरह आधार को लाया गया। then universalization of minimize to exclusion, then trained and ethical human resources, then a separate cadre of government employees जिन्हें हम रेशन इंस्पेक्टर्स कहते हैं, उनको ये इस पे डिप्यूट किया गया that their job is to ensure impartial and hassle-free delivery of food grains from fair price shops. Then diversifying the products, लाइक पहले सिर्फ धान और गेहूं ही मिलता था, उसको डाइवर्सिफाई करके लेंटिल्स, कुछ ऑयल सीड्स, इसको भी इंक्लूड किया गया। देन देयर वाज अ टेक्नोलॉजी चेक फॉर क्वालिटी, like the use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things to eliminate the menace of adulteration and bad quality food grains, which is quite rampant. So आगे हम देख रहे हैं ये रिपोर्ट के तहत अलग अलग स्टेट्स में से इंक्लूड किया गया। वाधवा कमेटी की रिपोर्ट है। लाइक कहीं डिजिटाइजेशन ऑफ रेशन कार्ड किया गया, कहीं कंप्यूटराइज्ड एलोकेशन ऑफ फेयर प्राइस शॉप्स किया गया, कहीं इशू ऑफ स्मार्ट कार्ड्स इन प्लेस ऑफ रेशन कार्ड्स, यूज ऑफ जीपीएस टेक्नोलॉजी, देन एसएमएस बेस्ड मॉनिटरिंग सिस्टम को लाया गया, यूज ऑफ वेब बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी को लाया गया। तो ये सारी चीजें को इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया इन पीडीएस रिफॉर्म्स। जैसे हम देख सकते हैं कि जीपीएस को ब्लॉकचेन से इंटरवीन किया गया इन स्टेट्स सच एज छत्तीसगढ़ एंड मध्य प्रदेश, which has implemented IT measures to streamline the targeted public distribution system through digitization of ration card using blockchain through distributed ledger technology. इससे आपको पता चलेगा कि कौन से फार्मर का ये जो भी प्रोडक्ट है हम ले रहे हैं, तो उससे ऑथेंटिसिटी डेवलप होती है, ट्रस्ट इश्यूज जो है वो खत्म हो जाते हैं। तो ये तो थी कुछ बातें पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम एंड फूड सिक्योरिटी को लेते हुए। अब हम बात करेंगे फूड सिक्योरिटी एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज। क्लाइमेट चेंज जैसा कि हम देख हर इश्यूज से ये रिलेटेड है, बिकॉज जो एग्रीकल्चर है दैट इज वेरी मच बेस्ड ऑन क्लाइमेट। सो देर आर बेसिकली टू disadvantages of this climate change which is posed on agriculture. One is biotic stress and another is abiotic stress. तो जैसा कि हम जानते हैं कि क्लाइमेट चेंज होने से क्या इफेक्ट करता है, टेम्परेचर और प्रेसिपिटेशन जो कि रेनफॉल है। तो ये सारी चीजें हैं बायोटिक, और जैसे एबायोटिक में आप आते हैं तो इनका भी डिजीज एंड पेस्ट इन्फेस्टेशन बढ़ जाता है। तो ये भी कहीं ना कहीं हमारे इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर को इफेक्ट करता है और अल्टीमेटली फूड सिक्योरिटी को इफेक्ट करता है, क्योंकि प्रोडक्टिविटी हैम्पर होती है, अल्टीमेटली प्रोडक्शन हैम्पर होता है, जिससे कि अगर प्रोडक्शन हैम्पर होगा तो सिमिलरली यू कैन सी हियर कि जो प्राइस है फूड ग्रेन का वो भी फ्लक्चुएट करेगी, जो क्वालिटी है वो फ्लक्चुएट करेगी, क्वांटिटी है वो फ्लक्चुएट करेगी। तो ओवरऑल जो एग्रीकल्चर लाइवलीहुड है दैट विल बी डिस्टर्ब्ड। ओके, अभी जैसे हम जानते हैं कि 1 डिग्री राइज का बताया गया है ड्यू टू क्लाइमेट चेंज, ये होने वाला है और हो भी रहा है। बहुत सारे स्टैटिस्टिक्स है, वीट का जो ईल्ड है वो घट गया है। सिमिलरली ये अदर क्रॉप्स को भी अफेक्ट कर रहा है, तो अल्टीमेटली इट इज अफेक्टिंग द food security. So here we can see that what are the challenges posed by this food security. देखिए, जो जमीन है वो तो बढ़ नहीं रही है, ठीक है, वो तो घट ही रही है, ठीक है। तो और जो पॉपुलेशन है वो डे बाय डे इंक्रीज हो रहा है। सो पॉपुलेशन का ज्योमेट्रिक ग्रोथ, अर्बनाइजेशन ऑफ एरेबल लैंड, क्लाइमेट चेंज और प्राइमरी टू टर्शरी सेक्टर का जो चेंज हो रहा है, राइजिंग एक्सपेंडिचर बढ़ रहे हैं, ठीक है। पीडीएस सिस्टम्स जो हमारे इनएफिशिएंट है, स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी प्रॉपर नहीं है, ठीक है, वेस्टेज ज्यादा है, प्रोसेसिंग फैसिलिटीज हर स्टेट में नहीं है। तो ये सारी चीजें हमारे जो फूड सिक्योरिटी है इसकी चैलेंजेस है। सिमिलरली स्ट्रैटेजीज क्या क्या हो सकती हैं, तो रीपिंग द डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, प्रॉपर हम उसका जो हमारा डेमोग्राफिक प्रोफाइल है उसको हम हार्नेस कर सकें थ्रू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, पेरी अर्बन एग्रीकल्चर, स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर, फूड पार्क्स, डीबीटी, यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड ऑर्गेनाइजिंग द प्रोसेसिंग सेक्टर्स। अभी एक केस स्टडी मैं आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करना चाहूंगी जो कि छत्तीसगढ़ का है, छत्तीसगढ़ मॉडल ऑफ पीडीएस। ये बेहतर बताया गया, क्यों बेहतर बताया गया वो मैं कुछ पॉइंट्स यहाँ पर बताई हूँ कि क्या ऐसा छत्तीसगढ़ स्टेट ने किया। देयर वाज nutritional security with diverse basket. The state provides pulse, ग्राम, शुगर, आयोडाइज्ड सॉल्ट, जो भी मतलब जरूरत की चीजें थी गरीबों के लिए वो सबको इन्होंने इंक्लूड किया, ना कि सिर्फ राइस एंड व्हीट को। Then this state was first in the country to provide right to food to its people and made it into a law. Landless laborers, small farmers having a land holding up to 5 acres, unorganized laborers like barbers, shoemakers, carpenters have been included in the priority list under this act. Then power to consumer. From 2014, the state government started implementing the core PDS scheme. According to the scheme, the ration shop owners are answerable to the consumers. This scheme has won many national awards. Then there was freedom to the consumers. मेरी मर्जी scheme launch हुई थी 2012 में, which is in operation in selected districts. And according to the scheme, consumers can buy rations from the shops of their choice. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ शॉप्स को चिन्हित कर दिया गया है और पीछे से वहां करप्शन चल रहा है। इट वाज नॉट लाइक दैट। इट वाज कोई बायबैक सिस्टम ऐसा कुछ कहीं से नहीं किया गया था, वो कंज्यूमर पर डिपेंड था वो कहाँ से खरीदेंगे। तो ये इससे जो ब्लैक मार्केटिंग है और करप्शन, इस तरह की चीजें रिड्यूस हो सकी। And deprivatization. In Chhattisgarh, private dealers were allowed to get license for PDS shops from 2000 onwards. This measure allowed the network of ration shops to widen, but also created a new nexus of corrupt players whereby dealers paid politicians to get license as well as protection when they indulged in corrupt practices. तो इस तरह की चीजें को हटा दिया गया और 2004 में गवर्नमेंट हैज रिवर्स दिस ऑर्डर एंड पुट ग्राम पंचायत एंड सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स, वन सुरक्षा समितिस एंड अदर कम्युनिटी इंस्टीट्यूशंस इन चार्ज ऑफ द रेशन शॉप्स। देन द डोर स्टेप डिलीवरी, अब ये होम डिलीवरी स्टार्ट कर दी। Grain was delivered by the state agencies to the ration shops each month instead of dealers having to lift their quotas. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीजें करके जो करप्शन है उसको रिड्यूस किया गया। There was rigorous monitoring like by SMS alerts which was launched to inform interested citizen of grain movements. Then there was very robust grievance redressal mechanisms. Then the coverage was wide. Close to 80% of the rural population, including all SC and ST households, is entitled to PDS grain at either 1 or 2 rupees per kilo. So, अब हम फूड सिक्योरिटी की अपॉर्चुनिटीज को देखना चाहेंगे। तो अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो बहुत है इंडिया में, क्योंकि इंडिया का जो एग्रो क्लाइमेटिक जो रीजन है वो बहुत ही डाइवर्स है, ठीक है। हर तरह का सॉइल, हर तरह का क्लाइमेट यहाँ देखने को मिलेगा। फिर मैं इस पर ज़्यादा बात ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग पे करूँगी, चूँकि मैं I was the state nodal of the organic Bihar Organic Promotion Program when I was in the Department of Agriculture. सो इस तरह की जो ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग है, नेचुरल फार्मिंग की स्कीम्स है, ये सब एक तरह से फूड सिक्योरिटी की अपॉर्चुनिटीज है. हाँ, यस. सो दीज आर माय पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस. लाइक बिहार ऑर्गेनिक प्रमोशन प्रोग्राम विच वाज लॉन्च्ड इन 2019. ये बिहार के जो गंगा के किनारे जो 13 जिला है, भागलपुर, बेगूसराय, भोजपुर, कटिहार, खगड़िया, बक्सर, लखीसराय, पटना, मुंगेर, नालंदा, समस्तीपुर, सारण एंड वैशाली, इसमें ये इम्प्लीमेंट किया गया. ये आपको मैं दिखाती हूँ. गंगा के किनारे ये जो ग्रीन एरिया आपको दिख रहा है, यहाँ से लेकर के ये पूरा जो इस तरह से गया है, ये सब में ये इम्प्लीमेंट हो रही है ये स्कीम. एंड अभी तक ये 2 फेज में ये किया गया है. 2019 में शुरू हुआ, तो 19, 20, 21 एक फेज कंप्लीट हो गया, जिसमें 187 फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को फॉर्म किए गए, जिसमें कि 17,507 एकड़ जो किसानों का जो खेत है उसको ऑर्गेनिक, फुल्ली ऑर्गेनिक में कन्वर्ट कर दिया गया है, जिसमें कि 21,119 फार्मर्स इन्वॉल्व हैं. Organic certification was done by the certifying agency, that is BASOCA, Bihar State Seed Organic Certification Agency. और उसके तहत हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में सेल पॉइंट खोले गए, और ये सारे सपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा दिया गया. अब ये हम चर्चा करेंगे कि why organic agriculture. Screen is visible.
विजिबल मैम, विजिबल.
Yes.
ओके. ये आगे क्यों नहीं बढ़ रहा है? इज द स्क्रीन स्लाइड्स आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा है? मैडम सुष्मिता.
हाँ, अभी वही स्लाइड है.
हाँ, लेकिन मैं यहाँ बढ़ा रही हूँ. हाँ, अभी बढ़े.
हो गया.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, ओके. सो इंडिया में जो ऑर्गेनिक का स्टेट है, जो इंडिया इज हैविंग द हाईएस्ट नंबर, मतलब जो एरिया वाइज नहीं, फार्मर्स बाई किसान जो है वो हाईएस्ट इन्वॉल्व है. ऐसे तो और दूसरे कंट्रीज में एरिया वाइज ज्यादा ऑर्गेनिक किया जा रहा है, बट इंडिया में नंबर ऑफ फार्मर्स जो इन्वॉल्वमेंट है वो सबसे ज्यादा है. ठीक है. तो अभी तक बिहार हैज अडॉप्टेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग अंडर 2 डिफरेंट गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स. दैट इज द वन इज द थर्ड पार्टी NPOP and the other is the PGS scheme. Bihar with 76,424.27 acres of organic which is certified. ये अपेडा जो है वहां से लिया गया है, और जो ट्रेसनेट इसका पोर्टल है वहां का ये डेटा है. उसमें इतने एरिया ऑलरेडी ऑर्गेनिक सर्टिफाइड है थ्रू NPOP सर्टिफिकेशन. एंड बिहार रैंक्स 15 अमंग ऑल द स्टेट्स इन इंडिया विथ मोर देन 30,000 फार्मर्स. मेजर क्रॉप्स जो है वो बेसिकली वेजिटेबल्स है, राइस, पल्सेस, व्हीट, ये भी है, लेकिन ये कम है. तो बिहार में कृषि को एक रोड मैप के तहत ये बनाया गया है. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के दिशा निर्देश में रोड मैप बनता है हर 5 साल में. तो ये जो गत जो रोड मैप था, दैट इज द थर्ड कृषि रोड मैप, उसमें इसकी उपलब्धि कुछ इस प्रकार है, जैसे कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट टुक द मल्टीपल स्टेप्स टू ट्रांसफॉर्म द ऑर्गेनिक एग्रीकल्चर, जिसके तहत जैविक खेती प्रोत्साहन योजना वाज स्टार्टेड. एंड द फ्लैगशिप प्रोग्राम, ये फ्लैगशिप प्रोग्राम थी जैविक कॉरिडोर योजना, जिसे चलाया गया था. और जो मेजर इंटरवेंशंस हैं जैविक कॉरिडोर स्कीम की, कि 187 जो क्लस्टर्स है, FPOs है, वो बनाए गए, और 17,507 एकड़ को सर्टिफाई किया गया अंडर द स्कीम, विच वाज मैक्सिमम कैप ऑफ 2.5 एकर्स. एक किसान के पास 2.5 एकड़ की जमीन होनी चाहिए. So these were the key outcomes of the previous roadmap. Around 162% increase in area in cumulative agriculture growth rate brought by Bihar on organic map of India. And there was documentation for certification and updation of data on TraceNet of all areas under Javik corridor. There was empanelment of organic input suppliers and distribution of organic inputs in corridor districts, formation of organic clusters through 187 FPOs, 27 local point of sale, and e-rickshaws were distributed to the farmers for selling organic produce. और इसमें हमने बहुत ज़्यादा रोल प्ले किया था. वी हैड ऑल्सो एस्टैब्लिश्ड कॉर्पोरेट लिंकेजेस विद जो बिग प्लेयर्स होते हैं, जैसे कि बिग बास्केट, आईटीसी, मदर डेयरी, इंटोरा, ब्रिटानिया. इससे हमने जो मार्केटिंग लिंकेजेस है वो स्थापित करने की प्रयास किया था, और बहुत अभी फंक्शनल भी है. किसान वहाँ दे रहे हैं अपना प्रोड्यूस. देयर वाज इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ बिहान ऐप विद जैविक कॉरिडोर फॉर ऑनलाइन मॉनिटरिंग ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक कल्टिवेशन. We have also proposed a smart Javik Mandi, and then it is now also it's under process. And there was a net realization of farmers' income has gone up from 15 to 35%. और फिर ये फोर्थ कृषि रोड मैप को हमने प्रपोज किया, and it was passed as it is, and we can see what the components of the fourth कृषि road map which we have kept under this Bihar organic promotion, that is ऑर्गेनिक वर्मी कंपोस्ट जो पिट है वो बनाने की इसमें एक कंपोनेंट था, जिसमें कि मेन सोर्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन रहता है वर्मी कंपोस्ट पिट. एंड देयर वर 2 मेथड्स, पिट मेथड एंड ढेर मेथड. इससे आप पिट बना सकते हैं, ये एक कंपोनेंट था. फिर दूसरा कंपोनेंट था प्रॉम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का. दिस वाज अनदर component under fourth Krishi roadmap. Then there was organic input production. This was another component. Gobar gas formation ka of physical target 500, total 4,500 gobar gas units to be formed. Then another component was of biocontrol and biolab at district level under PPP mode. And there was total 3 physical targets. There is 3 physical biocontrol lab at district level. And then there was startup, there was a component for startups. हम जो IIT पटना है और जो IIM बोध गया है, इस तरह के जो इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स हैं, इनसे टाई अप करके हम जो ऑर्गेनिक के फील्ड में अगर कोई बडिंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स है, कोई स्टार्टअप है जो कि इन सब चीज़ों पे बायोमोलिक्यूल्स, लॉजिस्टिक ऑप्टिमाइजेशन, स्टोरेज, कोल्ड चेन, IT एंड IT रिलेटेड थिंग्स, इस पर अगर कुछ करना चाहते हैं तो उनको हमने इस एक कंपोनेंट रखा है अंडर फोर्थ कृषि रोड मैप. Then there are innovation and startup funds allotted for this. Then there was a flexi scheme for organic and sustainable agriculture. This is basically at the district level. इसमें जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट के जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है उसे इन्वॉल्व करके अगर कोई इंडिविजुअल किसान या फिर कोई ऐसे लोग हैं जो इसमें कुछ करना चाहते हैं वैल्यू एडिशन में, प्रिजर्वेशन में, पैकेजिंग ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक प्रोड्यूस में, तो उसको हम स्टेट का जो फंड है उसके तहत, फ्लेक्सी योजना के तहत इसको हमने लिया है. फिर this is also a part of this organic corridor, that is the green खाद, जो हरा चारा कहते हैं, उसके तहत किसानों को बहुत सारी, जैसे ढैंचा, सनहेम जिसको कहते हैं, मूंग कहते हैं, इसको लगाने के लिए सब्सिडी दिए हैं. सो मोटा मोटी यही है. देन प्रोडक्शन साइड में इतना है. Then for certification, marketing and value addition, we have given subsidy to individual farmers. Is the physical and financial targets. Then marketing assistance, like marketing linkage, online platform, transportation assistance, market mapping, and MOUs with corporates, quality and standards for the organic produce, forecasting of products, ये सारी चीजों में हमने मार्केट असिस्टेंस दिया है। ये कुछ फोटोज मैंने लगाए थे। ये कॉरिडोर योजना के जब ये कार्यान्वयन में थी फेज 1 का, उस समय का। ये मुख्यमंत्री, माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के समाधान यात्रा में ये कुछ जो हमारे C3 सर्टिफाइड जो FPOs थे, उनके जो प्रोडक्ट्स है वो शोकेस में लगे हुए थे। उनको देखते, मतलब वो समाधान यात्रा के दौरान मुख्यमंत्री जी के ये I was given an opportunity to be part of that. And again, I just want to discuss about one more very important scheme which is going on here in Bihar, that is the Center of Excellence of Millets Value Chain. जैसे कि हम जानते हैं कि जो सिर्फ राइस और व्हीट से तो फूड सिक्योर अभी जो करंट में स्थिति है वो ऐसी इसलिए हो गई है क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत दिनों तक सिर्फ राइस और व्हीट में ही कंसंट्रेटेड थे, जबकि ऐसा देखा गया है कि अगर प्रोडक्टिविटी वाइज ले तो जो बहुत सारे स्टेट का जो सॉइल है वो मिलेट्स को के लिए बहुत ही मतलब सूटेबल है। इवन ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करके भी देखा गया है कि प्रोडक्टिविटी वाइज भी कुछ ऐसे मिलेट्स है जैसे कि पर्ल मिलेट, शॉर्गम और फिंगर मिलेट्स जो बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रही हैं। तो ये सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस ऑफ मिलेट्स वैल्यू चेन के तहत कुछ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बनाए गए एंड इट्स funded by government of Bihar. There are actually 4 partners in this scheme: ICRISAT and RPCU Pusa, Bihar Agriculture University Sabor and Department of Agriculture, Government of Bihar. ये सब मिल करके ये सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस ऑफ मिलेट्स वैल्यू चेन कर रही हैं। ये 7 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के तहत, दैट इज कलेक्ट, कंजर्व एंड इवैल्यूएट पर्ल मिलेट एंड स्मॉल मिलेट germplasm and cultivars, strengthen the breeding pipeline and accelerate cultivar development by deploying modern tools and techniques, develop and strengthen suitable pearl millet and small millet seed system to produce and distribute quality seeds, promote best management practices and mechanization in pearl millet and small millets, develop a value chain from product development processing to developing market linkage of pearl millet and small millets with a focus on women farmers. I am seeing over this issue, this objective, being a extension scientist, then gender responsive and transformative capacity building on various aspects of millet improvement, seed system production, mechanization, value addition, marketing, entrepreneurship, consumer behavior, and nutritional awareness on the benefits of millet consumption, project coordination and reporting. These are some of the activities done by me for value chain development, marketing, and brand development for millets in Bihar under Center of Excellence for Millets Value Chain. So this is all for today's session. Thank you. And if you have any query, we may take up. Not able to see.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful presentation on food security, opportunity, and challenges. Ma'am, your expertise has successfully highlighted the food security and its 4 dimensions, pillars of food security, global hunger index, and other topics very well. Your presentation with latest data from a National Family Health Survey, various case studies, including government programs for food security, helped our audience to easily understand the theme of the presentation. Your personal experience at Bihar Organic Promotion Program, as well as the recent initiatives by Bihar government, such as millets production and things, they were really impressive and informative for all of us. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
And now I would like to invite our participants to ask any queries they might have, which ma'am can address. So for now, we have a question from Dr. H.R. Dhanetia. Uh, he has asked that food security and organic farming are mutually synergistic challenges. Do you agree with this statement? उन्होंने पूछा है कि फूड सिक्योरिटी और ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग ये दोनों साथ-साथ एक चैलेंज है, इन दोनों को साथ-साथ में बनाए रखना। आप इस बात से सहमत हैं मैम?
जी डॉक्टर HR धनेटिया जी सर आपका बहुत ये व्यावसायिक प्रश्न है। फूड सिक्योरिटी बेसिकली फूड सिक्योरिटी अब जो हमारा देश है ये न्यूट्रिशन सिक्योरिटी की बात हमें ज़्यादा करनी चाहिए बिकॉज फूड तो है बट स्टिल वी आर न्यूट्रिशनली इनसिक्योर, ठीक है, जिसमें कि ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग एक रोल प्ले कर सकता है, ठीक है। जो जिस तरह का हम लोग हाईली केमिकल वाला फूड इंटेक करते हैं, अगर कुछ भी हद तक अगर ऑर्गेनिक हो, मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि पूरा श्रीलंका वाला उसमें ये आ जाए, बट बैलेंस्ड यूज ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर करके जो हम अगर करते हैं तो पूरा तो नहीं लेकिन हाँ कुछ हद तक हम इसको केटर कर सकते हैं।
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So please feel free everybody to post your queries in the chat box.
Ma'am, one of our participants said, it's Shubham Kumar, that Bengal famine come in 1943.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I think he's trying to say that it came in 1966, not 1950,
No,
1943.
1943. You may check it. It's 1943.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
I
ma'am.
think we don't have any further
Thank you, sir.
questions. So
Presentation.
thank you so much, ma'am, for your engaging and insightful presentation as well,
Thank you
as
for
well
giving
as
me
for
this
addressing
opportunity.
participants' queries.
Thank you. I was honored.
I'm confident that the participants must have greatly benefited from your expertise. We sincerely appreciate your willingness to share your profound knowledge with us. We wish you a continued success in your path. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And now, as we conclude tonight's program, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed presenters. Your sharp insights and extensive experience has been truly inspiring, enriching the knowledge of all of our participants. It has been an honor to learn from you. We extend our best wishes for your future endeavors. I also thank our participants for their attentiveness and active engagement throughout the session. On behalf of Vital Biotech, the Agricultural Forum for Technical Education of Farming Society Kota, Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya Raipur, University of Agricultural Sciences, Raichur, Karnataka, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Vishwavidyalaya Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, Farmers Park, Hyderabad, Telangana, and the entire organizing team, I deliver my heartfelt gratitude to you. I deliver my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, distinguished speaker, and enthusiastic.
Thank you all for your participation and showing your contribution towards this session. Thank you once again for your all invaluable contribution. Have a delightful evening. Thank you.